Welcome everybody to the EOS Town Hall. Today is April 15th, 2019. The major topic for today is going to be Rex. We've got Rohan here from EOS Authority. We've got Tiago from EOS Rio. To get started, before we dive into Rex, Tiago, do you have any updates you want to share with us from the week?
Oh, no, actually, we've been working in different fronts, but I'm really curious about and getting updated on Rex.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. That's fine though.
Yeah, me too. A little bit of trouble, but I could kind of make out what Diego was saying.
I heard something about Rex.
I think in the end, yes. And I think it's positive, and something positive about Rex.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm moving closer to my router here because my internet is not good. Yeah, it's just I'm curious to heard about Rex updates with Rohan. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked into Rex at all yet, so this is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see. You've done like a full code review and everything, Rohan, so this is going to be interesting to see what you have to say about it.
Yes. So, yeah, hello everyone. I am Rohan. I'm at EOS Authority. I've been working with I've been leading the team that has been working on Rex for quite a while. Let me give you some background. Rex was originally proposed by Dan Larimer back in August. So this is many months before. And he presented an amazing possibility where we could actually lease out our tokens and in a way encourage people to vote and all of that. So it sounded like an amazing thing. And then people started asking him, when can we see the first version of Rex and so on. I remember us meeting him in London at the hackathon, and then he kept saying it's getting ready, it's nearly there, it's being tested and all of that. And finally in December, so about 3 months since, he said Rex, his original proposal, we saw the first code, first version of the code of Rex. And that's when we started getting involved in Rex a lot. We wanted to build and user interface, we wanted to review the code, we wanted to see how it all worked. So we started looking deep into Rex. And that's when we started our first code reviews and all of that. The initial code review took a while. The first release candidate that they put out was, actually, Rex is pretty complicated. I was thinking Rex will be fairly simple, like stake token, somehow internal system contract. Like they managed to do fairly complex transfers, voting, all of that, and fairly small, simple line of code. Rex is like 1,000, 2,000 lines of code if you combine all the different files together just for Rex. So it is more complicated than what I initially thought it would be. And but Rex was fairly interesting. We started getting into Rex and then testing out all the features and all the possibilities. And that's when we found a bug with Rex in the initial RC1, which was very early stage. Block One has been helping fairly. They've been telling us how it works and all of that. So that was pretty good. And we managed to find issues, we managed to get it fixed. And we went through release candidate 1, release candidate 2, release candidate 3. And finally, a couple of weeks ago, we've got the first actual proper stable Rex version. And we've been testing that now. So the last couple of weeks or so, about between 2 and 3 weeks, we've been testing Rex a lot. And we hope to finish it. We hope to finish our side of testing in a couple of days. So it's just a matter of a couple of days now before we finish our test. We are waiting for, we've run it on Jungle, our internal test nets. We run it on Boss testnet. And now we're waiting for, we want to do a unique test on the Guideline testnet. And that's getting ready. Hopefully today, tomorrow, it'll be ready. And then, yeah, hope to wrap up our tests in a couple of days. That's the overall timeline. So from August, when the first Rex code came out, tests and all of that. And finally, we're here with a stable version. And in a couple of days, we're looking to like finish all our tests. That's the whole timeline. Any questions so far? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, my first question, I guess, off the bat, Rex is a leasing platform. We already have one leasing platform right now, Chintai, that gets pretty wide usage. What's the difference between Rex and Chintai?
Yeah, so I should have started with that. I should have introduced what Rex is all about. Yeah, so Rex is, I mean, a lot of people know it already anyway, but it's Resource Exchange, as you said. A lot of people have EOS tokens in their account. They don't use it, they just keep it staked. The whole idea is your tokens, you could actually lease it out. Other people could actually rent it, dApps could rent it, and then we have an internal banker algorithm which works out what the rent should be for CPU and net and all of that. And it pays people who actually lease out these tokens. So difference with Chintai, first of all, it's a system level contract. So you don't have to, Chintai has done a good job. They have their initial, they have a few block producers who actually have to sign transactions and all of that. They have implemented quite a few security measures in there, but it's not as smooth as a system level contract. So that's one difference. The second difference is with Rex, you get access to RAM fees and name bid fees in addition to your the tokens, the income that you get from leasing out these tokens. So those two, yeah. So it definitely is more. I mean, as a person looking to lease out spare tokens, Rex looks like a better option because of these additional incentives. So obviously, Chintai still has opportunities within this Rex model. Rex is kind of limited to 30-day period, and I'm sure there are more things that the Chintai team can innovate with, but it looks like at this stage, it looks like Rex is a better option based on what we have now. I'm sure Chintai is coming up with Chintai version 2 and things like that. So it's good to have healthy competition. I think more options sometimes will be really good to see what happens.
What sort of rate of return do you expect for people that lease their tokens on the platform?
I get asked this question very frequently. It's really hard to say. You've seen Chintai rates like they were astronomical compared to like what it was in December. It went all the way up. Yeah. So that's not bad. And I've looked at rates with RAM fees and name bids. The RAM fee account has like, I mean, RAM fee and both of these accounts, the name bids and RAM fee, they have about 2 to 3 million in there. So this is over the course of 10 months. So all that, I think it could add up to quite a bit over some time. Obviously, like name bids, they were pretty, bidding was pretty heavy in the beginning. A lot of the good names have kind of gone like COM and IO and all of that. So we might not see that, but also as the platform matures, we might see some kind of rejuvenated bidding for all that. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what it is. Well, I can talk about the Rex initialization parameters. There are a few things. There is, when we load up the system, there is an internal setting at which the target is about 0.1% as the fee. So that's all. That we can talk about that later as we get into the details of Rex. But this is essentially what happens. You get not just the fees that you get just returns. You also get system fees, RAM fees, and name bid fees. That's what happens.
Okay. I know there was a talk earlier about, so the name fees, the RAM fees, there was talk of burning those earlier to offset the inflation given to the block producers. What was the debate behind that, and how did it get resolved in the direction of going and giving it to the Rex holders?
That is so I've been talking to Block One recently. I was kind of expecting, so there will be a new account created. It'll be called EOS.io.rex. And I was kind of expecting and hoping that we'll be able to make a transfer to EOS.io.rex, and that funds will get distributed to everybody who actually holds Rex tokens. But that is not the case. You transfer in there, it'll just get held in that account. It doesn't actually get distributed. This might come up in a future version, but not as it stands now. So I don't think that is directly possible within what we have at the moment.
Okay, so to start off with the name and the RAM fees are not going to?
No, they will be. They will be.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a special inline transfer action to actually get those included. So that is included, but not anything else. So you can't just transfer to EOS or Rex and then hope it gets distributed to everybody um, that holds Rex tokens.
Okay.
So yeah, there was talk about something like this happening, but it's definitely not the case.
Rohan,
Okay.
can I add some information?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Kevin. Hello.
Hey, and thank you so much for talking about this and the work that EOS Authority has done. You guys really have taken the lead on this. You know, Attic Lab has done some testing too, and it's really a benefit for everyone. So thank you. To add some color to what he was just saying, there's a referendum which is currently the highest voted referendum of 22 or 23 million tokens voting yes, which is to allocate future deposits to names and RAM fee. And that referendum does not cover the current token. So as it currently stands, Rex will be proposed. And then additionally, a decision that block producers will need to make, which seems like it's sort of already been made by the community, but will be up to each individual producer, is whether or not to turn on the toggle that will allocate future contributions to RAM fee and names into Rex. But there is no current like set in stone plan on what to do with tokens that are in both accounts right now.
Okay. Are we planning on proposing both of those together at the same time, or are we going to do them separately?
I would do it separately. That's just my advice.
Yeah, we'll have to do it in 2 steps. There will be an EOSI or a Rex account creation step, and there will be a step where we load up the contract. So this flag that Kevin mentioned, which switches on the ability to channel RAM fees and namebit fees, they're part of the actual code. So when you set it up, yeah, it's better to have it set up as a part of the set contract function, or we'll have to set it up with the flag turned off and then set up the code again later with the flag turned on.
Okay.
But yeah, so.
Is this toggle part of the initialization parameters you were talking about?
It is, and it's actually part of the code. It's part of the code in itself. It's not
Okay.
It's not part of the state tables or something. It's a part of the code that you comment out. So it's part of the actual contract, not like a contract.
Got it. Okay. You said you were using the Bancor algorithm for this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Initially with RAM, I believe we used the same algorithm, right? And we had some major issues with mispricings. I think RAM was severely mispriced to start, for sure. What sort of steps are we taking to avoid that same kind of issue popping up here with Rex now?
Yes, so a lot of our time that we spent the last couple of weeks was about this initialization parameters. Block One itself wrote an article about it about 2-3 weeks ago, and it's a fairly detailed article. It's actually a paper by Dan Larimer and Khalid. It was very detailed. It went into 2 initialization parameters. One is what you just talked about, the Bancor initialization. And there's another part which is about how the system backs up in case of a liquidity crunch and all of that. But that's a bit more complicated. But with what you just described now, Kedar, so the initial setting, the RAM, so we have 2 sides to this market. We have EOS tokens, and we have people lending out and leasing at the same time. The system expects about 20 million EOS to come in before you get a 0.1% interest rate. Does that make sense? So 20 million EOS. I think it's reasonable. What do you think?
So let's say I was one of the first 5 million tokens or something. Does that mean I don't get an interest rate at all?
You do. But if Rex just had 5 million EOS in it, the actual, if a DApp were to like lease out tokens, were to purchase tokens for a month or so, they get it at far higher rates. It's only when 20 million EOS tokens come in that you get rates at around 0.1%, and that's the actual target rate initially.
Okay.
So this way, in case we don't get that 20 million, so the initialization parameter initially is about 20 million EOS. If we don't get it, we actually have a function where block producers can just call a function and adjust that parameter down or up. But
Okay.
20 million is the, that's the initial target rate. So as the tokens, as we get token holders putting funds into Rex, and as it approaches 20 million, we see about 0.1% as the interest that dApps have to pay out, and which is fairly reasonable. And then as it exceeds 20 million, it gets cheaper. And then of course the Bancor algorithm kicks in after that, and then it adjusts.
Okay.
Hey, Kedar?
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I think that it's not going to happen this time around is that the Bancor algorithm really relies on arbitrage across markets. And in the case of the RAM market powered by the Bancor algorithm, there was no other market available to anyone. So the beauty of Bancor is that it eventually an exchange rate becomes so attractive the other way as transfers are being made on Bancor that you go back to it and you say, okay, I'm going to go the other way now, and eventually you achieve equilibrium with all the markets around it. So Chintai will actually be one of those competitive markets where if dApps are going to lease bandwidth, they will find it too expensive. They will go to Chintai, and that's how it's going to find equilibrium. I think it's just that beauty of the free market that will equalize it.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. And also one other thing which is fairly crucial and different from the RAM market was if you were to purchase RAM, it's like a kind of like a permanent thing. So you buy RAM and you hold it for like as long as you want. In the case of Rex, it's just a 30-day leasing period. So then it automatically goes out. And then if you want to renew it, you renew it again at the relevant rate. So you don't hoard it. There's no hoarding like with RAM. So I don't think that is going to be as big as a problem, but it's definitely good to bring it out.
Okay.
Did that make sense? So it's a 30-day cycle. So you'll have to, you just get your tokens for 30 days. If you get a good rate, you get it for 30 days. And then you get it at the next relevant market rate, whatever it is.
So is the token transferable?
No, Rex tokens are not transferable.
Okay.
Once you get the token, it's only within your account and that's it.
Okay. Well, I guess it's not really okay, so it's not literally like a traditional token where you can actually like move it around. It has like, you can't even really take this onto an exchange and exchange it if you want it.
No,
Okay.
no. Couldn't exactly. Yeah, no, good point. It's just like a fancy unit of account. You have Rex tokens on your account really, but yeah, and if you were to like put 5 EOS into Rex, you would definitely get 5 EOS back at any point when you sell Rex tokens. So it doesn't, the value doesn't drop below. So you're not really buying Rex, or you're not really trading Rex. You don't have the risks of the EOS to Rex exchange rates falling below your purchase price and stuff like that. So there is like an EOS to Rex exchange rate, but yeah. Yes.
In practice, you are able to liquidate your Rex after 30 days for more EOS than you put in, right? You put some EOS on the Bancor relay and after 1 month you get more EOS at the interest rate than you put in initially.
Are you talking about the lender side? So as a person who has tokens, and if I have tokens, if I have say 1,000 EOS tokens that are sitting simply, what I would do is I would go into Rex and I'll convert my EOS tokens to Rex. And once I do that, the RAM fees, name bid fees, any fees are incurred by the system. We keep getting payments on that every block kind of thing. So it keeps increasing. But the moment you put your funds into Rex, you have to wait for 4 to 5 days. It's actually 4 days to the midnight. So it's between 4 and 5 days before you can actually sell it and liquidate it back into EOS. So after that period, you can actually sell it anytime. But you actually, your EOS tokens grow very frequently. You don't have to wait for 30 days or so. It just keeps on going.
Oh, it keeps on depositing on my account.
Exactly.
Once I have Rex, just verify people that have Rex and distribute like a block reward or a reward per block.
Yeah. So it actually, it increases per block kind of thing. So exactly. So you transfer your US tokens to Rex, and when you sell, you just calculate the price. So anytime you can sell anytime, and it calculates that exactly.
Hey Rohan, this doesn't affect the that's totally separate and apart from the vote, correct? It would not affect your rate of decay, or the last time your vote was refreshed, does it?
Yes. So no, it doesn't affect the decay. If you buy and sell again, then your decay kind of refreshes because it refreshes the stake again. So if you were to buy more years, and if you were to like update your Rex, it kind of refreshes your state, which in turn refreshes the vote. Like how you delegate, if you were to undelegate or delegate CPU bandwidth, it affects your vote as well. So something like that.
Thank you.
Scenarios that are staked on Rex, they are refreshed automatically. Because if I stake, I'm actually transferring use to Rex, right?
Yes. So if you stake, unstake, if you move to Rex, sell Rex, all of those events trigger an update to your vote stake. Yes. So it thereby
but
refreshes.
If they are there, they are not being refreshed. If I leave EOS on Rex for 1 year, I'll have half the vote power.
Yeah, it'll decay. You're right. It'll keep decaying. You're right. So it keeps decaying. Yes. So you'll have to come back and do something. You'll have to trigger some action from your side.
Yeah, and then it will refresh everything I have.
Yes. So if they come back to vote again or something like that, it actually triggers a refresh. And there is an internal function within Rex to update Rex, which will update all the voting tables and so on. So yeah.
Yes. And the 20 million use you talked about is that it's you have a goal on the banker algorithm that you kind of keep reverting and changing rates to get to that like 20 million to I don't know how many Rex tokens will be available, and that's the banker algorithm setup. Is that it? When you talk about it?
Yeah, that is the initialization. So there is this whole amazing article from them. It goes into details of like how the whole algorithm works with lent and lend tokens and all of that. And it was just me simplifying it to say 20 million EOS tokens. So once you have 20 million tokens into the Rex pool, at that point, dApps can actually rent out for like about 0.1%. And that's like the initial target rate. Nobody knows what the actual buy sell is gonna be. But yeah, but if I was a dApp, I'll wait for like tokens to pile up on Rex before we start purchasing. But again, any CPU or net that you purchase is just for 30 days. So it's not like a long-term thing like RAM where you can hoard or something. So that's an important thing. I would just say like this should be something that dApps look at, and then not for, yeah. I don't see an angle for speculation or hoarding in this whole side of things. So, yeah.
Okay. Something tells me there's gonna be speculation anyway. And I might be one of the people speculating on it.
Yeah.
When you find out how, you please share with us.
Yeah, I will definitely. I'm gonna figure out how to speculate on this thing, and I'm gonna do it. And I'll let you guys all know what I'm doing. Yeah. That being said, we're actually gonna use it for Everpedia too. So I think it's actually gonna be, there's gonna be real utility this time around, more than with RAM.
Yes. No, wonderful. So there's a few more things. Like I keep a few people they've been talking to us before, and they're like, hey, what should I do to get ready for Rex? Some people are very eager to get onto Rex. So they're like, should I unstake my tokens? Should I get ready? I keep telling them, no, you don't have to really unstake your tokens. There is a way to, I mean, it puts your tokens at risk. And I know people do stuff with, so we kept telling people it's not ready yet. And some people look at, there was a interface with testing on Jungle, and they were like, oh, is Rex really ready? They didn't realize there's actually a Jungle test version and stuff like that. So I keep telling people you don't have to really unstake your tokens or anything. You just have to keep your tokens as they are. Rex has a built-in feature to actually move tokens from your liquid balance or even from your staked CPU and net balance. So you don't have to unstake, just keep your tokens as it is.
Okay.
And so essentially you transfer from your stake directly into Rex, which is a pretty cool feature. There's no unstaking, waiting for so many days and so on. So the best thing to do is just wait for Rex to be live, wait for a reliable interface. I can imagine, like when you talked about speculation, I was thinking about all the scams and stuff that happen. So I keep telling people, don't do anything, just wait for a trusted interface. There'll be so many coming up. And yeah, just pick one and then get ready for Rex, really. But no action necessary at the moment.
Okay. Is Rex going to be a privileged contract?
No, not a privileged contract. It'll be EOS IO Rex, but it doesn't have to be privileged.
Cool. Okay. How does it do the inline transfers from the names and the fees if it's not privileged?
Yeah, it does an inline transfer. I've seen the code, and it's not a privileged account for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, but all of the, okay, that's a good question actually. Yeah, good question again. It's actually an EOS IO contract. We update EOS IO. All the functions like buy Rex, sell Rex, they're all part of EOS IO contract.
Oh, so it's not even in the EOS IO Rex.Rex account? It's directly in the EOS IO.
EOS IO, yes.
Oh, okay. What are the, what are the security implications of making such a major upgrade? This is a system contract upgrade then, really.
Yeah, it is. So that is why we've been testing it like,
okay.
We've been testing it for quite some time. It's pretty big, like you can do quite a lot of things. But when it works, it's supposed to be very simple. Buy Rex, sell Rex, things like that. It's not going to be, but it's actually a system contract. EOS IO updates at that level. Yeah. So you submit all your actions, your contracts, EOS IO, and your different actions within the EOS IO contract. And yes.
Okay. What's the price curve? So you said there's up till 20 million EOS, the price decays down to 0.1%.
Yeah. So the more tokens that come in, the price kind of drops. And the target is when you have 20 million tokens on the supply side, at that point, you see a nice rate, about 0.1%. That's the expectation. The block producers have a way to like toggle that value. So in case, even maybe on EOS, I think on EOS IO, on our mainnet, it'll be perfect. But maybe on other networks, you might have to tweak it a little bit. 20 million might be too big, depending on participations on the other side chains and so on. But on EOS, I think 20 million shouldn't be a problem.
I'm expecting personally that we're going to easily end up with 50 million in this. No problem, just because it seems so lucrative.
Yes. Yeah, I think when you talk about large numbers, it'll depend on what large exchanges and things do and how they how they position it for their token holders and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's also about the long strategy, right? Because if you get just trading, people will want to put money to receive something for staking, right? They want to put EOS in order to receive something. And if you have the RAM fees and name bid fees go to Rex, you have an initial amount to pay out to people, right? But if not, it's something that depends on people staking so that dApps can rent and get a good rate so that you can make this kind of jump start, right? How are you guys thinking about this launching strategy? Because from my point of view, if we already have the approval to use the RAM feed and name bid for that, and of course, if we have everything that is on those accounts already, people will just flock to Rex because you already have money and people will start getting paid. If not, you really need people renting so that people can get their money, right?
Yeah. Yes. I think yes. I think I didn't understand your question fully, but I would think, yeah, we will need quite a few token holders to bring the tokens in to Rex. But what was your question again? What was it?
No, it's just about the launch strategy on this, because this is something that you need to attract people to. And as you say, people are already attracted to it. But if they just put their money in and you have no one on the other side paying for it and kind of moving from Chintai or for other solutions for that and renting through Rex, people won't get paid in the beginning, right? It's people would
yes.
have the Rex and they're not
Yes,
get paid.
but I think if you have name bids and RAM fees, you get some tokens coming in, and I think if for give me an example. Say for example, nobody's invested in, nobody's bought Rex, and only say for example only my account, I buy some Rex, and what happens is all the name bid fees. So there is a name bid going on now. It's about 3,300 EOS and so on. That is allocated to Rex, and I get the benefit of that account. But then that 3,000, irrespective of my holding, my Rex pot grows that much. So I think I can see the supply side building. dApps, not sure. It'll be interesting to see what it is. With dApps, you can rent any amount. Actually, you can actually make a payment of 0.0001 EOS, the smallest fraction of EOS, and still get some CPU and net back. Yeah, so interesting. The CPU and net is just one market, so you don't have a separate CPU and separate net market. It's just one EOS token. So you just lease out those tokens essentially. Yeah.
In that sense, probably proposing this with the referendum allocating. Someone is breaking something.
Yeah.
If we can propose the two things together, it may also make sense in the strategy, like putting the referendum that is already the most voted to allocate RAM fees and name bids, and the code. I don't know. You said that you're proposing this separately, right?
Yeah. So we haven't got to that stage yet. I think we will start building the EOS Rex creation of the account and all of that. That'll be the first thing once testing's done. We'll be able to propose that, and then yeah, the next thing comes after that, maybe in a couple of weeks, something when this gets approved. But look, it'll have to be in the code. So we'll have to. We can probably propose both, or propose one with the RAM fees being channeled in, and yeah, so it has to be. I think implementing it with the RAM fees and the name bit fees is what Dan kind of had in mind as well. So maybe that's the entire vision gets implemented properly. But yeah, let's see. It's up to the community really. When we had the Rex candidate too, something interesting was we were speaking about it, and somebody raised a valid concern. Like as I mentioned before, now what happens is you keep your token staked. You have a separate owner and a separate active key. Your account is, if for some reason your active key gets lost and some unstaking process starts, you have the owner key. You're able to like stop the delegation, change your active keys, and take control of your account. With Rex, like as I told you before, we have a 4-day maturity period, 5-day maturity period, and after that, tokens can be instantly sold to Rex and taken into the market and so on. So it kind of worked around that 3-day, 72-hour undelegation safety net that we had. To actually kind of fix that, we have a Rex savings account. What essentially happens there is you're able to move your Rex tokens that are matured, or even as soon as you put it into Rex, you can move it to a savings account. The savings account essentially means the tokens that are there, they don't mature, they just stay there. And once you say, let's start maturing them, it then goes into that 4 or 5 day cycle to actually get mature. So you have that 4 or 5 day period. It's kind of like unstaking and staking within a 4-5 day period. So I just want to bring that up. It's a fairly new addition, about a month ago or so.
So when we unstake on that, it won't be a 3-day waiting period anymore?
It'll go back to the Rex maturity kind of a period, which is 4 days, 4-5 days. You'll have to wait for 4-5 days for your Rex tokens to mature from Rex savings. So if you choose to put it into Rex savings, you'll have to wait 4-5 days. Once you say let it mature, put it into the maturity bucket.
What if I want to sell my Rex into EOS?
Yeah, so
do I have to wait still 3 days?
Yeah, so as the normal token holder, the moment you buy Rex, you wait for 5 days before you sell. You can sell your Rex. But then the issue there was, after 5 days, if I were to lose my active key or something like that, my tokens can be sold instantly and taken out before I have a chance to like change my keys or stop the undelegation kind of thing.
Okay.
So we didn't have this feature, but now we have a Rex savings account. If you move to Rex savings, that does not mature, it just stays there. And then you have, once you want to trigger this maturity thing, you'll have to wait for 4-5 days. So it's like unstaking, but within Rex, it's the 4-5 day. I keep saying 4-5 day because there's 4 days till the midnight. So to be it's between 4 and 5 days all the time.
Okay.
So what you're basically saying, your use is never kind of unstaked in your account. You unstake and you buy Rex and you put on Rex savings so that they are protected there and they are not simply on the maturity period.
Exactly. They're not liquid. They're not liquid. You have to call exactly. But you can hold it either way. You can just put it into auto mature and it will be matured and waiting for you. If you do that, that's fine. You can also put it into Rex savings, which is kind of more secure, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. It's cool though that we have the option for liquidity.
Yes, yes.
I know a lot of people didn't like staking their tokens because they wanted to be able to access their tokens just in case of like a market crash or something and sell.
Oh, yes, yes. But so in this case, if you really want that, you have this option. You can actually just just convert your Rex tokens to EOS instantly after maturity, anytime, immediately, and then go away. But that is like a security kind of issue because it defeats the purpose of having an active and owner key, because as soon as your active key is lost, it can be taken away. You don't have time to react really. There was one more point I wanted to make.
The voting requirements, there's something around that.
Yes, so with Rex, the voting requirement is before you, so for dApps, if you want to buy CPU or rent CPU, all of that stuff, no problem. You don't have to vote or anything. But as a token holder, if you want to get the benefits of Rex, if you want to get access to name bids, RAM fees, all the leasing and all of that, before you even get to buy the Rex tokens, convert your EOS to Rex, you will have to vote for 21 block producers or a proxy. So that is a fairly well ingrained part of the Rex contract. So you have to make that vote. The proxy, in turn, can vote for any number of block producers. You can even vote for 0 block producers. But as long as you have voted for a proxy, it doesn't matter what the proxy does. You're still, you could actually get into Rex. And you can't really change your vote and take it below 21 at any point as long as you hold Rex.
Okay. But you can change your vote as long as you keep the number of producers over 21?
Yes, or as long as you keep it over 21. The other option is to completely sell everything in Rex, close Rex, and then
take all your votes away. It seems like an extreme way to get rid of votes.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Do you know how many tokens are voting right now?
Yes, so 25%. So if you go to eosauthority.com/voting, it gives you a live tally of, not live, it's about hourly. At the moment, you have 25.57% of the entire token supply voting, 266 million votes, of which 479 million are staked. So out of the billion tokens, nearly half is staked, but only half of the stake tokens are actually voting at the moment. I think, yeah, it's a good point, Kedar. We should save this before we launch Rex and see what impact is there really. It will be nice to see. But at the moment, it's been hovering at the 25% voting mark for quite some time now.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've been working together on the Lost Key project. There are still quite a few tokens which have never been used at all. And
it's almost 50%, you said, right?
Yeah, so it's not that high, but I think let me just take a look at it. We have about 87 million tokens that are never used, and it kept dropping. Like when we started the Lost Key project, it was hovering at about 100 million.
Wait, hold up. 87 million accounts or 87 million tokens? I'm pretty sure
tokens. So about, yeah, it's not bad. It's below 10% now. It was, yeah. This is never used accounts.
Okay.
96,000 accounts haven't been used.
Oh, right. 87 million is a lot of accounts. That wouldn't make any sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Okay. Yeah. Do you guys have any more questions?
I'm happy.
So, okay, great. So we covered things like as a token holder, you don't have to do anything. Just wait for Rex to go live. And once Rex is live, there will be options like moving from stake and moving all of that. We covered things like Rex. You don't really lose your tokens, your EOS to Rex. Yeah, you put in 10 EOS at any point, you get 10 EOS back, if not more, and things like that. So I think we covered quite a lot. And yeah, that's it.
Did you have a question, Tiago?
I'm good, sorry.
Okay. I guess the last update I have before we end this call is that the EOS user agreement passed this week. So that will be, yeah, that was pretty big. Does that have any impact on Rex specifically?
Rex specifically, is Kevin still here? Is he gone?
I think he's gone.
Okay, well, impact, I think it kind of clears things up. Now we know what from my perspective, I'm not an expert on the EUA, but I think it kind of makes it clear that Rex can be implemented with or without name fee bids and all of that based on what the block producers choose to decide, kind of thing. So it formalizes that. And I think it kind of clears the way for Rex really, if at all, yeah, to implement it properly with name bid fees and that. What do you think, Tiago?
Sorry, Rohan. I just lost you a bit.
Yeah. So, what do you think with Rex and EUA? What's the effect of EUA on Rex?
I'm really curious about the next steps on the EUA. I don't see a direct impact on Rex at this point. I mean, I think the EUA, it's more about how we will behave as a community going forward and what we will do with the things we are there are on the closet still, like blacklists and what we do with those. But I think it's good in general because people know what to expect, and it's good that Rex is providing and that you guys are worried about this kind of user experience security wise. Like, okay, you won't have to have your EOS unstaked at any point, so you can take care of your security while using Rex. And it's part of people getting kind of conscious about what we are talking about in blockchain and personal responsibility and stuff. So in my view, it's more of a wave of good things and aligning expectations and putting in place the right incentives for people. And this Rex and the EUA have in common. But I really don't know. I had to move to another thing really quick here. I don't know. Do you think it will have an impact on Rex, a specific impact on Rex?
The EUA?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think the EUA kind of formalizes that every decision is kind of taken by the 15 or 21 block producers, and things like that. So yeah, I think things like, yeah, we now kind of have an answer to the community referendum. The Rex referendum was the largest, and it's just got like 1%. The question was, should we be able to channel it? We didn't have enough support, but now I think it's clear what we can do as block producers.
I agree with you, Rohan. I think it makes things simpler. You know, it makes it easier to pass the referendum. It makes it quicker to make decisions. You know, so if we're gonna put it with RAM fees or not, and how it's gonna work out, it's all about the 50/21. So instead of having to wait for a new referendum and all this over governance that we sort of had, makes it easier to adapt and make quick decisions.
And probably this would work the other way around, right? I think that Rex is a good like probing, because if you were saying, okay, people, do you want money for free, or you stake and you get money, and you see how many people vote, and you say, okay, this is the most participation we will have. No one will participate more than having free money. So it's
actually, Thiago, that's a very good point. And I was also thinking, say for example, we go live, and then Kedar was talking about it. He was saying we'll get 50 million, 100 million tokens in it. So those token holders didn't actually vote. They didn't actually vote for the referendum. But if they actually vote with the it's kind of interesting. So we'll have more participation on Rex than the actual vote itself, which is interesting.
And I'm almost sure this will happen, because we'll have much more participation there, and it's something that helps us just have this comparison point. And with the View 1 constitution, we had none. So people were just deciding on participation threshold without knowing what happens in practice. So I think it's a good, they're related, but and it to be, I think, the other way around. I think the Rex referendum gives a good parameter for what we should consider as block producers for referendum.
Yeah, as a threshold, what is a good enough signal, kind of a thing. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Cool. All right. I think that wraps up the EOS Town Hall for this week. Thanks to Rohan for coming on, talking about Rex. Thanks to Thiago Luis from EOS Rio. And thanks to Kevin for the brief appearance he made. See you guys next week. We don't have a topic decided yet. We'll ping it out at some point later in the week. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Rohan.
Thanks, Rohan. It was a great presentation. See you guys.